Welcome, everybody, to Quadcast, Episode 3, the only four-wheeled off-road podcast rated 100% cage-free by ATV enthusiasts worldwide, or at least Jeff and I. Jeff, welcome to Episode 3.
Thanks, Joe. Hey, we missed you guys. We got a lot to talk about today. First, we're going to start off with some 2026 models from Can-Am and Polaris. And then we're going to do a little talk about two-stroke, specifically the new Kahana KM500R. That is a 500cc two-stroke. You ready for that one, Joe?
So ready. I've been ready for that since 1989 when the Quad Racer 500 went away.
I got some news for you. I may be riding this thing this coming Sunday. So look for a full ride review and dirt wheel soon, as well as we're definitely going to talk about it here. I'll shoot some video, share that with you guys next time if it happens. And then we got a big guest coming up today.
Yes, we do. Mike Walsh from Walsh Racecraft. And he always has a lot of very exciting and insightful things to say. So definitely looking forward to him. We got a lot of material to cover. So enough of the intro. Let's get into Wide Open Wire.
Let's do it right now.
All right, it's time for Wide Open Wire, the news portion of the show, and man, is it going to be stocked for this episode. We are going to be talking about the 2026 Polaris ATV lineup, the 2026 Can-Am lineup. We have more updates to talk about for Yamaha's new Sport 4x4. They're not telling us what it is, but the more they release, the more we can tell. And we have information on the new Kahana KM500 two-stroke sport quad coming from Canada. Jeff, let's go.
Let's dig in. Let's start with Polaris. It's quite a bit to talk about. It's good news. There's not a whole lot of changes from what I've seen to the models, other than new colors and new stickers and, the usual. But the exciting...
And it's also the 40th anniversary of Sportsman.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, 40th anniversary of the Sportsman ATV. What was the first Sportsman anyway? Do you remember?
We'll have to check on that.
We'll have to check on that. Either.
It might have been the 500. I don't remember. But
I believe it was the Sportsman 500. And I believe they have a 40th anniversary special edition 570 that has the same colors of that first Sportsman 500. You guys double check me on that. And I'm sure you can call us out in the comments, but...
Oh, they will.
Yeah, and we will apologize next episode if necessary. But anyway, the big news with Polaris, though, is they've lowered quite a few prices across the line.
That's very positive to see, because it seemed like, and you and I have talked about this quite a bit, it seems like over the past few years since they've launched Scrambler S, and then of course they did redo the two-seat models last year in the 570s. But it seems like besides that, all we've really seen coming out of Polaris is them trying to put more features on the machines to jack up the MSRPs, which some of those vehicles were getting very close to the entry-level price of their side-by-sides.
Yeah, well, actually they were there. And some of those prices on those particular high-end models have also come down in this lineup. So let's just start from the top. Sportsman XP1000S and the Scrambler XP1000S. These are the two 55-inch wide 4x4 ATVs. Both of these have dropped $1,500 in price from the 25 model year to 2026. And nothing has been taken away from those models either. It's just color changes. That's it. Just they've dropped the price. Obviously, in a market where things are a little uncertain still due to tariffs and availability of materials and a declining market for those high-end models, they've had to drop those prices. And $1,500 is a big drop.
Yeah, that's very good to see, because now that puts the Scrambler S at a 55-inch wide machine with massive suspension travel. That puts the price of that machine right in line with Can-Am's Renegade 1000, which dominates in tighter places. So now, if you want an ATV that can tackle more wide open terrain, you don't have to pay an extra $1,500 for it compared to the competition. And that puts that Sportsman S, the more work-focused version of the S models, more in line with that new Outlander 1000 XTP. And same thing, you can get that wide open terrain performance at a comparable price to Can-Am's top of the line 1000 machines. So that's great.
Yeah, love that Scrambler XP1000S for open desert, but also I've taken one to Moab. Great rock crawling machine. It was real close to $18,000. They've dropped the price now to $16,499. Good stuff. Hope they
What
sell
else?
a ton of them. Scrambler 850. This is the smaller Scrambler, still a good sport 4x4. They have dropped the price on that particular model by $1,000 from last year. Sportsman, the smaller Sportsmans, the more affordable ones, the 450 EPS and the 570 Sportsman remain unchanged. They were already at a pretty decent price, and we already brought up that they are going to bring in a Sportsman 570 40th anniversary trim. Sportsman 850 is down $300, as well as the Sportsman Trail 850. And then the Sportsman XP 1000 Ultimate. This is the big one with ride command and all those crazy features and stuff.
Yeah, we're talking the 48-inch version, not the 55.
Correct. Yep. This is the top of the line standard big Sportsman XP 1000. They have dropped the price on that by $1,000. It is now $15,499.
Well, it seems like Polaris is going in the right direction with those models, and it's nice to see them being price conscious instead of just trying to figure out how to add more price. So 2026, if you bought a 25 model, sorry, the 26s are a little better value. Thank you, Polaris, going in the right direction. So Is that it for Polaris?
That's it for Polaris. Let's move on to Can-Am.
Can-Am has done a lot with our ATV lineup over the past few years, Jeff. They started with the 500 and 700 back in 23. We got a new 850 and 1000 last year. I think it was 25. They made a ton of changes to their XMR models. And they've redone a lot of their lineup bottom to top. And they've got some new stuff. It's pretty exciting for 2026, but let's start off with what's returning.
What's returning? We'll start off with the Outlander 500 and 700 recreational models. Though pricing is the same, I think they changed some colors up there. But when you move to the more utility-focused version of those machines, which is the Outlander Pro and the XU, both, and there's two hunting editions in there also. The Pro and the XU jumped up $50 in price over last year, while the hunting model MSRP remains unchanged. The Outlander 850 and 1000R, and this includes the Max models. First off, you can only get these with power steering in this displacement. That's both the 850 and 1000R. And the 1000R, meaning the 101 horse Rotax engine that got upgraded, what was it, last year? 2024, I think. Yeah.
25?
Maybe it was 25.
It was 25, I believe. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I don't think I would buy that model, the 850 or the 1000, without power steering. I mean, it's such a powerful machine. That thing can go fast. I'd want power steering. I wouldn't want to go without it.
Yeah, and I think the most of the public probably feels the same way, and that's why they've dropped it off. They were probably selling more DPS models at that size and displacement. The DPS did increase by $300. The XT and XTP models went up $400, and that's for the standard single seat and Max trims, which Max meaning two-rider. XMR, we just talked about that. You mentioned earlier that they got a huge upgrade last year, the mud-focused upgrades. We really like those. Tried them out in Louisiana. Both the 850 and 1000 our XMR went up $300 over the 2025 model year. Let's talk about the Outlander 1000R in the XTP trim. Yeah, XTP and the XTP Max and the limited trim have a new option this year, which is a first for any production ATV. What do you know about that, Joe?
We know Can-Am has worked on their computer-controlled suspension technology in the side-by-side market over the past few years with their Smart-Shox technology. And from what I know, now somebody will be quick to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first production ATV we've seen from a major OEM, at least, to protect myself, where we've seen computer-controlled suspension. We've seen it in the side-by-side world. We've seen it even in mountain bikes now, but finally, for the first time, it's poking its head into ATV, and what that means for us is this suspension is going to take into account throttle position, typically the attitude of the vehicle, whether it's going up or downhill, whether it's turning. It should take handlebar position into account to try to make that thing stiffen up the shocks. When you're cornering and it wants to roll to the outside, Smart-Shox will stiffen up those outside shocks to help keep that ATV from body rolling, keep it flat. It should prevent hard nosedive under braking, hard rear end drop under acceleration. And now that's not even really a big problem. None of that's a big problem on the Gen 3 Outlander stuff, at least the ones that we've tested, because I think you and I have both ridden the XTP, which has Fox QS3 shocks, which you can still get for, I think it's $2,700 less, more or less.
Yeah, if you want these new electronic shocks, it's $2,800 increase.
Right. Now it's pricey. That's about the same price that you're going to pay, I think, for like Elka Stage 4s. I think you can get for around the same price. I'd have to check. But, and those are going to be great shocks. We both love Elkas. But this is a different kind of thing. I think it's for the very high end buyer, the guy who's got the budget. These are expensive, and on the XTP, plus adding another $2,800, it's going to be an expensive machine. I think it's for the people who are affluent enough to afford it. But I'll tell you what, I can't wait to try it and see how it performs, because on a four-wheeled ATV, it certainly sounds exciting.
Yeah, I'll reserve judgment until then, and we are going to get to ride these next week. But the standard shocks that we got to ride the last year or two, I think they work fantastic. So,
those the QS3s on the standard XTP?
Yep.
Okay, I haven't tested a lower trim package than that. So the XTPs were great.
Yep. Yeah, they work fantastic. So it'll be interesting to see how the change is with these electronic shocks. One thing about the electronic shocks is they actually read the terrain ahead of you kind of as you're going over it and make, hundreds of changes a millisecond as the terrain changes ahead of you. And
I know from using it on the side-by-sides. I'm sorry, guys, I hate to keep bringing them up, but it's just comparable experience with similar technology. If you jump and leave the ground, their Smart-Shox, at least in the side-by-sides, are like, oh, I'm in the air, I'm getting ready to land. So it'll ramp up the damping to max damping to help catch you when you land. And, if you're just going straight over flat level ground, it'll open the damping up more and make the ride plusher. So it seems to work pretty well on the side-by-sides. And it might be even better on ATVs, because the one problem with Smart-Shox and side-by-sides is guys like Alan Knowles will tell me they prefer the analog suspension in side-by-sides because the car has very little weight transfer. So they can't, as they corner it, it doesn't transfer the weight to the outside front wheel and get it to bite. Now, on an ATV, you've got this rider mass that plays such an important role in that traction, to where, the suspension is going to be working very hard to keep the quad riding flat through corners aggressively, but you can still use your weight to help get more weight transfer. I'm skeptical, but I'm excited. I think it's going to be great. I've already decided. I think I'm going to love it, probably more than I want to, and but I can't afford it, so I'll try not to love it too much.
I don't know. I think you already talked me out of it. Makes me sound lazy that I need my electronic suspension to do my leaning for me. That's the whole reason I ride in an ATV.
Well, I
can get out there and keep moving.
I think you're going to have to still counterweight the machine, but maybe not quite as much. And I don't know. We'll see how it works.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, and might love it. But again, $2,800 increase if you want those shocks. We will talk more about that next episode.
That's a hard pill to swallow, but we'll see. So besides the price changes and the Smart-Shox upgrades on certain levels, we also have some completely redesigned and new models for 26, right, Jeff?
We sure do. And the 1000R lineup, both the 1000R and the MAX, these are the 101 horse engines by Rotax. We have the new backcountry trim. And the backcountry trim comes with big 30-inch tires, Showa shocks, and a 3,500-pound winch. Both these machines have a 1,830-pound towing capacity. Big utility going on with these. And I think hunters will really appreciate the extra ground clearance that they get out of those 30-inch tires on this trim level.
I think one thing that was really interesting to me that Can-Am talks about, because when you think about Can-Am on the ATV side especially, you think about going fast. They're kind of performance machines. Even their whole 4x4 line is very sporty. But they said that these new backcountry editions were more about people who were looking to get out and rock crawl and explore. It makes me think, like, if you're the kind of guy who wants to ride at low to intermediate speeds in really chunky terrain, black diamond kind of trails, really hairy stuff where ground clearance is imperative, there's your bike. Whereas if you're more like me and my crew and you're like, yeah, let's go ride the woods like we're Cody Collier, you get the XTP edition. It's more like the medium to fast pace. So this seems really targeted at that explorer, rugged terrain enthusiast.
Yeah, definitely more technical terrain. And the cargo and towing capacities on these make them great for work, great for hunting. Definitely the extra ground clearance you get out of these. You get in the rocks, you get into logs and stuff. These are the machines you buy to go anywhere and everywhere. And speaking of that, if you really want to get wild, the backcountry trim also comes in a new 1000R 6x6. And by 6x6, we mean true six-wheel drive. This is the first time that the 6x6 has gotten the Gen 3 chassis and the big 101 horse Rotax engine.
I can only imagine what that thing would be like. It could climb a wall. It has that long wheelbase. It's like a ride-on ATV with another axle behind it. So
yeah, I kind of want to take one to Moab.
It'd be so cool.
We've seen the video of that Can-Am sent to us, and man, they do go straight up walls from what we've seen. So I can't wait to get a chance to test one of these next week for sure.
Those things are going to be so good for ranchers, farmers, hunters, big game hunters. You can put it in the back and bring it back.
Yeah, 1,000-pound cargo bed capacity. And I think that goes on all of they have 3 different 6x6 models too, which we should also be talking about.
Yeah, and you could overland in these things. Like, you could just disappear for a week with a tent and food and cooking and get off the grid.
Yeah, the backcountry 1000R is the only model of the 3 6x6s that gets the 4-lock front differential. So you got true 6-wheel drive.
6-lock.
What is it?
6-lock. They're calling it Visco 6-lock.
Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
It makes sense. Yeah, I mean, true 6-wheel drive, this thing should just go over anything. Then they do the old, they had the old 6x6 in the 650 version last year, which was a carryover for several years. It had the round headlights. This year, they've updated everything with the LED front headlights, the more modern looking design of the plastic fenders, and it also got the Gen 3 chassis with the new 700 level power plant 50 horse engine. And then they also have what was the other 6x6 model?
They have an 850 as well.
850, yeah. Yeah, so 3 6x6s to choose from there.
Yeah, it's an impressive lineup. I think the backcountry is going to be a hit. That thing is going to be cool. The 700, I like the looks of it. It's not really my category. I'm just curious as to how it's going to do in that platform, going from the 650 V-twin Rotax, which has been a very proven performer, to the 700 single. I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah, getting back to that backcountry trim, you are going to pay a premium for those models. The standard 1000R Outlander will run you $17,099. If you step up to the Max 2-rider version, that's $18,449. And the backcountry 6x6, with all the features we just talked about, will cross into $20,000 territory with $20,849 MSRP.
Well,
that's a lot.
Well, it's you're getting into side-by-side price territory there.
Yeah, hardworking machine, and these are something that, like we said, property owners, ranchers, and everything. This is a machine that will make work so much easier. So you got to figure that into the price too. So backcountry aside, there is another new Outlander model that we need to talk about. This is the Outlander Electric. And correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but is this the first full-size electric ATV by a major manufacturer?
It's the first full-size electric I've seen. Yeah, definitely from a major manufacturer, 100%.
We know, you guys are already screaming out there, anything electric, get your blood boiling, some of you. But this is it's a great machine. It's not for everybody. It's a great option for hunters, who don't want to make a lot of noise as they're approaching their blinds. It's a great option for people who do a lot of chore work or work around ranches, don't want to scare the animals away. Anybody that works in the city with an ATV, you're not going to get any noise complaints with these. They have their place. It's not for everybody.
There are other companies out there that make smaller electric ATVs. I know DRR, who makes the little kids race quads, also builds small electric utility style ATVs. And they said one of their big markets has been the tourist market at resorts, like when they have wooded areas and they want to let the clients go out and explore the woods on trails that they've built. They're getting these electric ATVs. And I haven't tested any of DRRs, but I mean, this vehicle is based on the Gen 3 platform that's used by the Outlander 500 and 700. So we know from experience, it's going to be a good handling ATV. I think you'll be riding it very soon, but it's the same platform we love from the Outlander 500 and 700. It's the horsepower numbers are competitive, and the torque numbers exceed that of the gas-powered 700.
Yeah, and that's due to that direct drive. You don't have a CVT on these models. The power is instant. There's no lag, no hesitation. 53 foot-pound of torque, 47 horsepower. Probably feels a little bit more than that compared to comparable gas models. Again, we will get to ride those next week and check that out. People are obviously going to want to know about range. They're claiming 50-mile range, which is great for property owners and hunters, who don't use the machine for overlanding or, out recreational riding as much. Again, this is for a specific buyer.
They said that they had targeted the small farm owner as was a person that they really thought about in mind when they built this. And they said that average customer was riding 19 miles in a day.
Yeah, this will has a 50-mile range. Another thing about that is it's more about quiet operation than anything. They even did a lot with the electric fans to keep the batteries cool, to keep that noise down too, so that these are whisper quiet, as Can-Am is claiming. Another great option for hunters and property owners that live within close proximity of their neighbors.
Yeah, they said once they realized that the engine was so quiet that everything else of the motor, everything else about the machine was more audible. The sound of the chassis, the sound of the tires on the ground. So they went through this whole machine top to bottom, since its power plant is so quiet, to just make this thing as quiet as they possibly could.
Yep. You can get this in a single seat or a max version. The single is $12,999, $14,299 for the max version, and they are both available in granite gray or white color.
I think there will be some hunters out there that are wishing for a camo version. I'm pretty sure that came up at the roundtable discussion, and I bet Can-Am has one next year.
Yep, for sure. Moving on, the one model that we were really hoping for, it didn't get the changes that we were expecting for 2026. We expect it again in 2027, and that is the Renegade, specifically the 1000 model. We can't wait for a 1000R, 101 mile
horsepower. Yeah,
horsepower, 101 mile an hour Renegade.
There you go.
So yeah, everything remains the same as 2025 mechanically and color-wise even, although all trims went up $300 in price. We'll talk about Renegade Youth models, price increases there, whether it's the 70, the 110, or the 110XXC. Those have all gone up $250 in price. DS250. I don't think I've ever seen a DS250 out on the trail, but they went up $150 in price. Again, hopefully we see that Gen 3 Renegade 1000R in 2027.
Definitely.
Yeah, let's move on. Here's some great news. I believe, where's my notes here? August 19th, we were cruising the patent site, saw a new update on the Yamaha Sport 4x4 that's coming. You know, when we first started talking about this, Yamaha, they were like, you know, we patent a lot of things that never come to fruition. But man, this thing has gotten so many updates, we know it's coming. And the new update kind of focuses on the floorboards, which have some steep angles in the back for more. And it talks about it in it too. They're designing this thing for aggressive style riding. Can't wait to see it. Again, new update on the patent website, August 19th. Hopefully we're going to see something next year.
Yeah, and again, Yamaha's racing them. You know, not these, but Yamaha's racing Grizzlies. So it's kind of funny that we keep seeing these updates to this patent site. Now, obviously, Yamaha's not going to tell us that this Sport 4x4 is coming, but it's funny to see all these updates to the patent site and then guys from the PR department at Yamaha showing up to do multiple cross-country races like they're trying to catch a feel for that atmosphere and that environment and what it's going to be like having race 4x4s out there. I don't think it's opium. I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Looking forward to racing GNCC Ironman this year on a couple of those old style Grizzlies.
Are we allowed to talk about that?
I don't know. Are we?
I don't know.
I think we are.
Well, if not, we'll edit it out. So
yeah, it's not this new model that we keep seeing in the patent drawings. I'm just looking forward to it because it's I have never raced a GNCC race. This is a bucket list item for me. So,
well, you enjoy it, and I will bring a hired gun.
Okay, just race a different class so he doesn't smoke me. Moving on, bonus two-stroke news.
Yeah.
Who wants to hear about that?
It was pretty funny because the last time we were watching a premiere of Quadcast episode 2, somebody came in the comments and made the question of, hey, have you guys heard about the new Kahana 500 two-stroke out of Canada? Which resulted in you going and looking it up and seeing, oh my gosh, this is real. And then you wrote a story about it on dirtwheelsmag.com. And how'd that do for you guys? I can't imagine it didn't do very well at all because Honda has told us and most of the other OEMs have told us there's no interest in sport quads. So I'm sure you got a dismal result, but how did that go?
It only increased our web traffic by, I think it was 347%. And it hung there for 2 weeks. You know, then there was other big stories in the news too. Kawasaki released the new Terex 405 H2 side by side, which was a big deal. This cast a giant shadow over everything, including that new Kawasaki. People were super stoked to hear about a new two-stroke ATV possibility. And this company, Kahana, has told us they're already looking at dealers in the U.S. It's based out of Canada, British Columbia, to be specific. And this is a 500cc two-stroke, all aluminum billet chassis, completely built up there in Canada. Very exciting stuff.
What other details do you know about it? Anything else?
You can get it with a standard swing arm, which we're thinking they're kind of mimicking, a TRX 450R style, or you can get it with a +3, all billet chassis. The A arms are billet. Very cool machine. One of the questions that keeps coming up is it counterbalance? We don't know the answer on that yet specifically, but we imagine there's something in place to keep the vibration of that engine down. I'm supposed to possibly be riding one this weekend. The owner was supposed to come down and meet us down here in Arizona at one of our favorite tracks where we test dirt wheels machines. More news coming on that soon, I hope. Can't wait to ride it.
Yeah, I hope as well. It sounds like Jeff will have a chance to throw a leg over that new two-stroke soon. And as we get more details about it, we will make sure to bring them to you. And I think that's it for Wide Open.
No, but wait, there's more.
Wait.
On my two-stroke bonus news, I mentioned the Terex 4.5 H2 side by side while I was out there at Kawasaki headquarters in Southern California. I did talk to them a little bit about the new two-stroke dirt bikes that are coming and the possibility of a two-stroke sport quad coming in that same with that same engine. And interestingly enough, I got a very positive response. I'm used to the argument that sport quads are just, there's no market for it. Well, they've kind of changed their tune, and they were very receptive. I actually first talked to one of the lead guys that's been with Kawasaki for a long time, who deals a lot with emissions controls and the lawyers and legalities and everything. And he told me that there is a way right now for a two-stroke sport ATV to come to the market. It isn't something that's banned or outlawed. And the new two-stroke tech of these machines, they burn as clean, if not cleaner, than some of the more modern four-strokes that we see today.
Amen. You got anything else lurking?
Not in the two-stroke arena, so let's move on to the next segment.
Well, that's it for Wide Open Wire. We're moving on, getting geared up for the month of September. Let's do it. It's time to get geared up for the month of September 2025. Here's a few new products hitting the market that are going to be of interest to ATV enthusiasts like us. Jeff, what do you got first?
Fuel Customs, their new cross-country intake system. This is a brand new full replacement airbox system that replaces the entire stock airbox on the YFZ 450R.
The intake as well, correct?
Yeah, actually, the intake track is much wider. It's probably almost got twice the volume of the stock intake, and that is where the real magic comes into place with this machine. I've taken it out 3 times now, tested it, and throttle response is much quicker. I also noticed that I'm not getting quite as much fat backfire on deceleration with it. It seems to have really opened up everything. Of course, my YFZ has a Vortex ignition on it. It has an exhaust system. This airbox system, it was a little choked up before using that stock intake track with the airbox. Seems to have really cleaned it up. That alone makes it worth the $359 price. It comes with a pleated style air filter with a typical outerwear. You can also get a foam wrap for these. For $20 extra, they also will send you a cap to put over the intake track with the filter off of it. Makes cleaning these machines up much easier, especially getting deep down inside that airbox.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, I want to just add to this so Garrett doesn't beat us up, because he can, but his filter is a K&N style filter. He has pointed out to me on numerous occasions that it does have more layers than a K&N filter. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but he was quick to remind me that his filter is better because it has more layers than the Can-Am. Me out here, I live in the Midwest. We got a lot of dust just kind of floats in the air. So I was really stoked when he came out with that foam wrap recently. So for anybody who's been kind of nervous about getting a Fuel Customs intake, because you're like, oh, I want a foam filter. Well, now you can have a foam pre-filter on it. And if you've been worried about getting too much water on your filter, the new cross-country design airbox offers a lot more splash protection for your filter. So just more good reasons to get more horsepower from him.
Yep. And I'll add, I was one of those people that was a little bit nervous. I used the stock airbox with the lid off with a foam filter with one of the billet aluminum flanges, and switching over to this, there's a lot more airflow to it and stuff. So far, I haven't had any major issues using the foam wrap with dust getting inside the system. And I live out here in Arizona. Dust and that fine silt, it's a big problem for us out in the deserts, and hasn't presented a problem with the new Fuel Customs XC intake box. So very happy so far.
Good product, yeah. Pick one up for your YFZ if you want to get the most out of your big 3 or any other modifications you might be making inside the engine.
Yep. Moving on. The next product, I'll let you talk about that, but it's the Teixeira Tech XGC control arms. What does XGC stand for?
XGC stands for Extreme Ground Clearance. The stock A-arms on the Scrambler S are high ground clearance. Ed's, I don't know if he's gaining additional height, but I'll tell you this, we bumped a tree in our last outing with the Scrambler S, probably about 5, 8, 10 miles an hour. It was not very fast. And the lower A-arm in their radius that they have been into, it just burnt. It just bent it up more. And that machine needed a new A-arm. We were kind of surprised we bent it as slow as we were going, but Ed has new extreme ground clearance A-arms for the Polaris Scrambler S in particular. He has them for other machines as well. The A-arms for the Scrambler S are for the lower arm only. They are made in the United States in their factory in Tracy, California, of TIG welded 4130 American sourced chromoly. They add to the machine camber and caster adjustment. I know you said there's a number of guys that are starting to race the Work Series with them.
I believe we've got three guys out there running the Scrambler S, which is the West Coast work scene, so it's much more wide open than GNCC. And yeah, a couple of those guys that are racing even qualify for the Pro-Am class, the big race on Sunday. This is definitely a great product for them. In fact, I'm probably going to use one of those guys if Ed will send me a set, and we'll do a little product testing during a real race situations.
So there's the extreme ground clearance A-arms for the Scrambler S from Teixeira Tech. They will also fit the Sportsman S for you utility guys. If you like to go fast out in the desert in wide open trails, you can use these on your Sportsman S as well. So check those out at TeixeiraTech.com, and they are $624.99, which is actually a good deal because a full set of uppers and lowers is typically more than twice that. So good deal for an American-made part that you could run on any race machine. What else do we got?
A new product from Fluid Logic. I don't know if people are familiar with this, but they make hydration systems. They started off making them for race cars, side-by-side racers, where you can get water. It holds it in a tank, and it actually reminds you to drink while you're racing. And it has a system in your helmet, which is squirts the water directly in your mouth. They've made a new backpack that is for handlebar guys, and you wear this on your back, obviously. It's called the GPR50, and it's its own hydration pack system. It basically it's electronic. It has a push button drink function right on the front of the pack. You can hit that, or you can also do a remote wireless button on your handlebars where you push that. The hose is in your helmet up front here, and it just, open your mouth. It squirts the water in there. It will also give you notifications on when you need to take a drink. It's something that we all forget when we're out there racing, to stay hydrated. Remember to take a drink. You get so worked up, you're hanging on so tight, sometimes you forget the important stuff. It has a 50-ounce reservoir. It's an all-in helmet delivery system. You charge it up. It's wireless, but it gives you a 100-hour battery life, so you don't really have to worry about it going out. The reason I like this product so much is because I race works on my YFZ. I have a traditional hydration type system with the hose and the bite valve. I bought one of the extended kits that actually puts it through the front nose piece of the helmet, so I can just kind of, pop it into my mouth. Even with that, I still struggle to get a good drink while I'm racing without having to let go of the bars and mess with the hose. And a lot of the reason is, if you look at this head, it's massive. So I don't have a whole lot of room right here in the front of my helmet. And, the inside joke between Joe and I is we should rename the show Megamind and Magoo. But that's why I like this product so much. It's just completely hands-free hydration. And when you're out there racing or, even just recreational riding, though, it's just, you just keep riding. You don't let go of the bars, hit your button, get a drink, and stay on the throttle. Love it.
I know from years of doing some different athletic endeavors, especially mountain biking, where we'll go out and ride for, 4, 5, 6 hours in the middle of the day. Once you're dehydrated, you're done. You cannot rehydrate as you go. So hydration is something that takes place a day or two before an athletic endeavor. And you got to keep the water level up, because if you let it drop too low, you're kind of done. There's not much you can do. So I think it's really neat that it has the reminder to, hey man, you better drink before you start getting dehydrated.
Absolutely. I haven't received one of these for testing yet. I hope to get one soon to test it and with works. They are a little pricey, but I mean, for what you get, $479.99, but it reminds you to take a drink. If you're a racer, I think that, we pay a lot more money for other stuff that is just as important. So hydration is a big deal. And again, like you said, I'm glad. I would love to have something that reminds me to take a drink, because when you're out there and the adrenaline's going crazy, you forget those things. So pretty cool new product. Can't wait to test it out.
There you go. That's our new products for the month of September. Now, let's get ready to talk to the man behind Walsh Racecraft, Mike Walsh, coming up.
Let's do it. Can't wait.
All right, it's time for our special guest. Joining us today is a former ATV racer turned product designer and engineer. He owns one of the most, if not the most sought after chassis component companies in the game. Joining us today is Mike Walsh from Walsh Racecraft. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Mike. Glad to have you today.
Hey, Jeff.
So, Mike, I first met you in, I want to say 2004 at Southwick. It's unfortunately a track that the Nationals don't go to anymore. It was one of my favorites to go to and film. And by the time I ran into you, you were still racing and you were running your company. So if you don't mind, can you kind of take us back in history and tell us, how did you get started racing ATVs, and what were you doing around the time that you fired up Walsh Racecraft?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically I was just like any other kid that, wanted to race something or, get on something with a motor. And my dad had some background in chassis building and whatnot. And we started, actually it was my good friend, Josh Vacatura. He actually had that 363 built from us, but he wanted to start racing District 338, which was Southwick at the time. And they had a little series inside their own track. It was just their track. So we were 16 years old. We ended up going up there and signing up and running the first race, which I'll never forget. I mean, it was awesome. I was immediately hooked, and I got to see all the cool ATVs and the builds, and I was just like a kid in a candy store. So I was immediately something that I thought that I could be successful at and do. I didn't really thrive in school and things like that, but this was something right up my alley. So that's kind of like when I started the initial, just cutting my teeth on starting to build some A-arms and whatnot. But, at first we raced just OEM stock ATVs.
What were you racing at the time?
Well, I had an 86 TRX 250R, and I was in the process of building with my dad. Me and my dad were building a 250X, an 87 TRX 250X, the gray one with the gray and red, and with a 350X motor in it. And my dad was a huge four-stroke guy. He loved four strokes, and we were buying stuff from Curtis Sparks at the time. And me and Curtis got to be, over the years, buddies. But that's kind of how it started. We had a 350X with a Curtis Sparks head on a and that bike was modified, but I didn't race that bike at first, that ATV at first. It was the 86 250R bone stock pipe, everything. The only thing it had was wheels and tires on it. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I was going to say back in that was the 90s, and it's funny because the 250R was out of production in 1989, but we were all racing 250Rs through the 90s and stuff, and it was a great time to be in ATV racing, although it was much like today. You didn't have much in the way of motocross style quads that were out there available. But for our listeners who aren't real familiar with Walsh Racecraft has been around for 30 years. And even during that 90s era, you actually worked with some big names in racing as far as being a mechanic and developing parts. I think names like Harold Goodman come up, Doug Gust. Let's go a little bit into that.
Absolutely. Actually, I just talked to PJ Chesson yesterday on direct message, and PJ Chesson, his dad Pete Chesson, and he had a brother that raced too. And actually, Pete Chesson is the reason I started building ATVs and ATV chassis and components and selling them, because we went to a place called Frozen Ocean. It was in New York, and it was a big race there. They had flat track TT, motocross. Wayne Meridian was there from PEP. I mean, Shane Hitt, Tim Farr, everybody, maybe Vescovi, John Atali was there. But I ended up having my chassis there as it was my first 250R chassis that I built, and I had it there as unpainted, and it was up on a stand, and I had been trying to race that, and Pete Chesson came over and wanted two of them, but I didn't know if I was going to be doing that in my life or if I was going to be doing something else. And he point blank asked me, are you going to build these things or not? So in about a half hour, I decided that I was. So he gave me a down payment, and we, one was for, you might have heard of him, Travis Spader. And the other one was for PJ Chesson. Now PJ didn't race long, but he went from there to sprint cars. He won the Kings Royal, big time stuff. He ended up driving IndyCar and on TV, and Pete actually died a little while ago. Great guy. And Pete, me and PJ still communicate, and we're still buds and everything. It was because of him and his family why we started Walsh Racecraft.
That's cool. Some other names too. I brought up Harold Goodman. This is a machine that actually comes up in conversation with Dirt Wheels readers quite a bit. The Yamaha YZ400F hybrid that you built.
Yep. So good. After we did the Chesson deal, Harold Goodman had approached me, and he wanted a YZ400F in a 250R style Gen 1. I call it a Gen 1 chassis now, but a 250R. So that was our big hit. That one landed on I believe the cover of Dirt Wheels. That one kind of got me started. That was a big deal. We built that entire ATV in a shop that we had created behind a pizza house. Very small deal. It was in my dad's commercial building, but it was a very small shop. And actually, Harold Goodman and his dad came and dropped off the motorcycle. And it took a while, but I think it was 4 to 6 months or so, but we had that thing done. And that was the one he won the 4-stroke Pro-Am National Championship on. He raced Doug Gust. Now, it really wasn't fair for Doug because Doug was on a 400EX, but don't let him fool you. They had that 400EX dialed in. So he did end up winning that, and Harold was a big Walsh guy for a long time. We kind of did some stuff together as far as, and he's an innovator in himself. That, the dad, and the son, they're both very intelligent and had a lot of good ideas. And yeah, that was it. And then of course we got with Tom Carlson from TC Racing Engines, and Tom was hooked up with Wayne Henson from Henson Clutches, and they were back in Doug Gust, who was riding, and they approached us to build a DRZ Suzuki powered Gen 1, as I refer to it as the 250R chassis. And that was actually the first electric start 4-stroke ever to win a pro class national race. And big deal for us. I mean, it was huge. I mean, I was a kid, I was young, and for me that was what it was all about.
Yeah, that was big news at the time. I remember that, working at some of the other magazines at the time. That was a big deal, especially with Doug Gust's involvement in that. I also want to remind our readers who might have forgotten or they weren't around at the time. We're talking about YZ400 and DRZ 400s at the time. That's what it was at the time. Yamaha eventually went to a 426 before it went to a 450. The 450 craze came on, shortly after that. But really, that's a cool step back in ATV history right there. And so You just brought up the Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3 chassis, the Walsh chassis. Tell us what the differences are there.
All right, so the Gen 1 was the 250R platform, so 86 through 89, 250R, removable subframe, adjustable front shock tower. That was that. I have 2 fixture tables to build those, and that was something I came up with. We started that when I was about, I'd say, 20 years old, building that platform. And of course, we were looking at Doug Roll. We were looking at Mark Lager from Lagers, and we wanted something that was better than what they had, or how we felt it would be better. I was working a little bit with Wayne from PEP, but so we come up with the Gen 1, which is 250R based, and we did a lot of Gen 1 hybrids. We did the 400, the YZ400, the DRZ 400, we did of course the 250R, which isn't really considered a hybrid. We did the CRF, and the CRF, that's probably my favorite ATV that I ever built. I mean, that was when I was in the prime of my life, if you will. Won Montreal Supercross on that platform. And then the Gen 2 is, of course, the LTR 450 plastic chassis design. And that's one of my favorites too. I mean, it's really cool. And the only reason we started that platform was because of a place called US Highlands, and they wanted a high end 100 horsepower V twin, kind of like a dune shooter, something they were trying to target the older market with money, the people that wanted something cool. Well, unfortunately, I had a really good deal with those guys going on, so we come up with the Gen 2. It was LTR based, and but 3/4 of the way through that project, they flew in to my shop. They flew into the airport right next to my shop, and they're in a Cessna 421. And they flew from my shop to Detroit, and they were flying home, and the plane ran out of fuel, and they all died, which kind of screwed the whole plan up, if you will. So I still worked with their wives. I ended up delivering that bike personally to their company, which later they sold everything and went out of business. Now, you don't know US Highlands. They also owned they bought everything Cannondale and ATK had, I believe, or maybe the other way around. Anyways, they bought everything Cannondale had for sure, and they were going to re-release the Cannondale with their motor, and then they were going to come out with this V-twin that we had built them. But that's the Gen 2. Now, the Gen 3 is the YFZ 450R platform, so that would utilize all the 450R, the YFC plastic and ergonomics and geometry for the most part. That's, in my opinion, probably the best one, but it has also been the slowest to get off of the table. We've built a few now, but it just hasn't happened as fast as I wanted it to. We were supposed to come out with a Gen 3. Well, we'll save that for later. But anyways, that's the 3 platforms.
So you're saying you're going to come back to the show to talk about that one. So, yeah.
So there was a lot of guys you talked to, like I've talked to Adam Campbell. I'm sure that's a name that you remember. Adam.
Absolutely.
Adam is still an incredible photographer and videographer. Now he does work for Mercedes-Benz. So unfortunately, there should be more OEMs hiring him to take pictures for us. But you talk to him, and he was a good rider. He was one of the guys in the industry that was a media guy that he could probably go run the A-class pretty competitively. And he was really hot on the LTR 450 handling. I know there are probably some other guys out there that would probably say that LTR platform was the best handling production bike ever made. There will be people that disagree, but there are many people that feel that way. So what are your thoughts on the handling of the LTR 450 versus the YFZ 450R? Because I know that some people complain the YFZ 450R caster increases as the front suspension compresses. What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, great question. I like both platforms. Now, with our front end and our caster bracket, that eliminates the change in caster, so that goes away. But honestly, me personally, with how I ride or how I rode, I love the LTR. Okay, now the problems with the LTR is A, they're heavy, and B, the rear suspension honestly is not great. Even our uh S what do I call that thing? Anyways, even our I think I call it our SR link or whatever I do call it, but our link for our Gen 2 and our swing arm, and it's a completely different one than the LTR runs, but it looks similar. I still don't like it. I mean, I like it. It's okay, but it's not great. We've also ran the Savior on that, and that's what Emma McQuaid ran this year. I don't prefer the Savior for it. Some companies do. Wayne from PEP, he likes it. But it's just it's a rotating knuckle and a pull rod that we put on there, but it just honestly the YFZ R has incredible rear suspension. I mean, I say that. I mean, in my opinion, there's no better. It's the best, and I mean, better than CR500, better than everything out there. There's so many versions of that rear link. I mean, we made 4 or 5 with Chad Weenan. We sell 2 or 3 of them. So there's just a lot of and the suspension has come so far, and honestly, it's kind of came so far with the YFZR now, and that's why I kind of pushed the YFZR platform. That's the reason for the Gen 3, is because the suspension, Impact Solutions, PEP, all those guys, Axis, all those guys, they have really good setups for that geometry, and if you don't keep up with technology, and it's hard in society to plow your own way. So basically, I might have a great setup, but if only 2 people are using it, it's not going to evolve as quick as something that 1,000, 2,000 people, 10,000 people are using. It's going to evolve way quicker. So from the YSZR being so popular, the stuff is really good. So that's kind of why we developed the Gen 3, was to give something, to have something, in my opinion. So honestly, I think the YFZR at this point right now is your best option. Now, is it better than the LTR? Nah, right now, yeah, it definitely is. But if you put just as much development into the Gen 2 or the LTR, I think it could be as good, if not even better. But it does have a problem with the rear linkage. So, but like we all used to change the linkages and this and that. I'm sure we could put a better link in there. And the only reason we don't is there's not a huge demand for the Gen 2 right now.
So you've built a lot of different hybrids using a lot of different power plants, including leading up to the Stark Varg that you're doing right now. We'll get into that in a minute. Looking forward, what gets you the most excited as far as developing the next hybrid? What engine is out there that really got your attention? I know I brought up one to you not long ago in the comments, either on your page or on the Dirt Wheels page, about the Beta 350 2-stroke being a possibility, especially since it's counterbalanced. But what are your thoughts on that? What are you most looking forward to?
Well, I love all the counterbalanced 2-strokes. That's real cool. If we're on that subject right now, like I did build the 300. Now I haven't done a 350, but I did a 300, and that was a really cool ATV. Really, really cool. I don't even know where it is right now, but
was that a beta or a KTM 300?
No, it was a KTM. We also did a gas, and I heard the gas. The man who owns the gas also owns a gas dealership. So I heard it will be when it's completed, or if it's not already completed, it will be in that dealership. So cool for that, when people can come in and see that gasket, because it looks like a gas. It's red, white, all that stuff. But no, that was a KTM, and it ran good. I mean, it ran good, but you know what? It didn't run it didn't run like one of those 4-strokes. I'll tell you that right now. It ran good though for what it was. Fun, real fun. But you know, I really am looking forward to the 600 Panther, to be honest. We've done a lot of work together, and I have that Gen 1 coming out. It's like off the jig table right now, so it's like really coming out. So that's going to be probably your nastiest, fastest, coolest build if you're an old school 2-stroke breathing, smelling type dude. Which I don't know who isn't, but I mean, obviously we all love the 4-strokes, right? But obviously when a 2-stroke starts up, it changes your game, it changes your head. You go back in time and things get real. So that's a cool one. I like that a lot. I mean, I hate to publicly say this, but I really do like the Stark stuff. There's some things I don't like about the Stark stuff, but that platform is going to be something. It needs a few things, but it's going to be something.
Well, we'll just go into that a little bit. We've seen the video, the EDT race. I think it was a qualifier and stuff that we put up that got a lot of mixed response in the comments. But that particular video, when they were running that race, was that at the 80 horse setting?
I wasn't there. I know it was more than 70. Yeah, I don't know what exact power it was put on, but it was more than 70.
It was in the straights. It just left everybody. It was amazing. Yeah, coming into the corners, people are going, "Well, look how it does in the corner." Well, it's a corner. Yeah, you can only go into a corner at so much speed, but reeling people in on the straights, it was an eye opener. That stirred up a lot of emotions in the comments for sure.
It's gonna hurt a lot of people's feelings. And again, here's the deal. Cody Houghton. So Keister was running that one. Cody Houghton has one. Cody Houghton is one of, if not one of, the fastest, best amateurs right now. Fast. This guy's got a lot of talent there. The dad is super into it. He supports his son 100%. And they are going to be trouble when they get their stuff figured out. Here's the problem. It's like we talked about with the development of this stuff. When you only have one or two, it takes a long time. So like I built that one for Houghton, which is the one that kind of went viral a year ago, and they haven't even raced it yet. So I think they went to one last weekend. I've been talking to them, and they tried to race it, but they had some problems, and they end up not racing it. So the more of these we get out there, it's gonna hurt some feelings. I mean, here's the thing. I don't believe that the Keister setup was on point. I don't even think you've seen what that thing's capable of. They're doing a lot of testing. I think they left a lot on the table with their setup, and I think that this could be quite a bit faster than what you even saw, to be honest. I think once, because I know they went to another race and they had the wrong swing arm on the bike. They have a few different options, and I think when they get their stuff figured out and when Cody starts pushing too, I think the development, the curve is gonna go a little bit faster than what's going on right now. And when that happens, you're gonna see better performance. Now, on the flip side of things, I personally do not like that the Stark does not have a clutch. I'm publicly saying that. I think it's a big problem. Now, is it something that you can still race? Yes. Do I think it would be way better with a clutch? Absolutely. And I was talking to Ronnie Ranner, and he had rode an Alta, and he had her on the Alta, and the Alta didn't have a clutch either. And so we got to talking. Ronnie Ranner's a 10 times X Games gold medalist in the high jump. Lives in Florida. Great dude. Great rider. One of the OGs. And he, we both said the same thing. It's like, I mean, the clutch is also a safety device. It will get you over things, bring the RPMs up, dump the clutch, things like this. And when you don't have it, it's a different feeling. I don't think that the Stark would feel that much different had it had a clutch, but without the clutch, it's kind of limited in my opinion. Now, could it go just as fast or faster without a clutch? Absolutely. But I think if there was a clutch on there, I think it would just give you so much more options as a rider and over obstacles and even coming into corners and just exiting corners and just all of this stuff, I think would be better. But I could be wrong. I mean, I've been wrong a lot, but I think it would be a good option.
Is that something you see the aftermarket developing for the Stark? Possibly, is there a way to simulate that?
I heard rumors that Europe was coming up with something. I don't know. I do know there is some electric motorcycles out there with a clutch. I don't even know what they would do, a separate, like a Harley where you have, I don't, and a Harley has like a separate transmission, and a bell. I don't even know what you do, but I got a YZ450, a new one, and I had the Stark, and you probably seen videos of it. We were racing it and whatnot. And in a drag race, you cannot touch the Stark. You can't touch it. It's just faster. It is just faster. It's faster, and you don't have to shift, and it just goes. It's not arguable. It's way faster. So, but I was a couple little moguls. I was jumping and this and that with both the bikes, and I'm not a great bike rider by any means. But by not being able to just pull the clutch in and get your RPMs up and dump it and get over some little obstacles, the YZ was like funner to ride. And also it seemed like it actually accelerated faster in some cases because of the clutch. And the start kind of felt like slow or sluggish or almost dead because when you did need the instant power, now you just couldn't really make it happen. But electric's like, I mean, people are like, oh, electric's instant power. It is, but it's not instant RPM. So it does it. I don't know. You'd have to ride both of them, but I could see.
So it's almost kind of like if you're on a hole shot with both bikes and you dump them both because the electric motor is getting close to full torque right off the bottom, right out of the hole. It's quicker in a drag race, but when you already have momentum and you need that burst power accelerating from 30 miles an hour, you got to get to 40 to clear a jump. That burst power is easier to get on a gas-powered dirt bike engine because you have a clutch. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Or if you're coming, you got a double and you're in second gear and you want to switch gears in the air and then, get back on the clutch, get off the clutch, you're going to get over that quad or that triple, that next one. I think the gas powered bike shines and the transmission shines and the clutch shines there. It's just different. Now, could you figure it out? You got to realize though, all these motocrossers are coming off of clutch gas bikes, and you seen the big start craze at the beginning when these things came out, and they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and they're going to do something else. But now it's like people, I don't want to say forgot about the Stark, but you're not seeing a ton of these things. So you need to let them race. Like if you're going to have electric EV development, you need to have a class or you need to fit them into a class because that's the only way you're going to develop. Like we were having some cooling issues on Houghton's bike and they have only this tiny little radiator and the radiator's in the back and has a fan on it and a water pump. Well, we're putting the radiator now, we're putting the TRX radiator back in the ATV, putting it up front because this thing is glitching out on an overheat sensor because you can't keep it cool enough in the quad chassis because you got more weight, you're riding it harder, this and that, and we're having a little bit of problems with it. But can it be fixed? Absolutely. It's like a parameter on a CNC machine. You can adjust that parameter, but you don't want that thing getting too hot. It's not like it's boiling over. It's not that type of heat. It's different. They only let this thing get so hot. I don't know what it is. Could be 100 degrees. I don't know what. But anyways, it's getting too hot, and it's going into limp home mode. So, but you're not going to figure this stuff out if you're not racing it. That's where this development comes from. Look at Chevrolet. Look at the ZR1. Look at all this stuff. They're racing this stuff, and then they're look at the LS platform, and that was all based off of they you got to race if you want to develop things. You got to put it out there.
So you agree that a lot of the people are saying they're calling them. They actually come out and say that's kind of cheating and it doesn't belong in the gas class. You support having a separate electric ATV class or electric bike, at least on the motocross side now, or like you said, putting them in a class where they actually fit a little bit better. Or do you think that it's okay to just put them right there in the main pro class with gas machines, production machines?
I think what I've always thought, and I think we need a pro experimental class where you can run what you brung, and it's for development. Because if you look at the YFZR, I don't think anybody will argue that it's been tweaked and squeaked and tuned. I mean, I know these pro teams. I know what they do to these things, and it's heavy. I mean, they do a lot. But you're not developing anything else. So yes, you have a great YFZR, but you have nothing else. And it's a deterrent for people with an imagination that want to build and want to push the envelope of the ATV. It's not happening. Look at what happened in 2001, 2002, 2003. I just posted a picture of my 2003, the four-wheeler that I won Montreal. I think it's that one. They say it's that one. I don't know if it is or not. But I mean, that's when things were getting developed. All these different motors, 2-stroke and 4-stroke. Look at Joe Bird lost the championship to Jeremiah Jones at Southwick. And Jeremiah was on a aluminum framed 250R, and Joe Bird was on a Walsh framed 4130 chromoly CRF 450, which he should have won, but he had stalled it on the line. The bonehead move. Yep, Joe, I said it. It's bonehead move. But anyways, you had that non-cookie cutter atmosphere, and it's so much cooler than everybody having the same thing.
Yeah, I would think that would really capture the attention of the major manufacturers, the OEMs too. Maybe that would be another spark to bringing in something new to compete with the YFZ 450R. They're just seeing that extra development.
And you're saying that, and I think Stark is they are, I don't want to say crazy. They think outside the box. I think they would do it. I think they might even come out with an ATV. I've had them contact me, not, no conversations or anything, but they've plugged into some of my posts, good job, or change the seat cover or whatever, so they're watching this stuff go down. And, okay, so here's the deal. If they can't run against the Europeans and if they can't run against the pro stuff, if you made it legal, if you made a class legal in ATV, maybe because look, they're getting pushed out everywhere. They're not racing them. So, I seen a cross country video of them, and they changed and I don't know who it was. I don't know if they're factory Stark, but they changed the battery in a cross country race, and it was really, really impressive. They changed this battery, and I don't know if you've seen
on a Stark.
Yes, did you see that video?
No, I didn't. I'd like to see. That was a question I was going to ask you about, because a lot of guys talk about, they'll never compete in Baja, but if you're just doing battery changes, which you got to, do refueling stops in Baja every 60 to 100 miles, what's the difference? They're that quick though, huh?
Oh my God, it was amazing. They made this lever for the forks where it was a bar, and they picked the bike up, and they dropped the battery out of and they had about 4 mechanics, and they dropped the battery out of the bottom. And they literally did this in like 20 seconds. It was, wow. It was crazy. It was awesome. Somebody sent me the video, It was really cool. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. They put some time and development in this because they had a cart that held the one battery, and they rolled the cart over, and it was at the exact height of the chassis when you put the chassis down. So everything was they put some effort into this, but they nailed it. It was great. But as time goes on, they're going to make these batteries easier to change. I mean, when you got that type of engineering power and you got that type of money, I mean, they're going to figure this out. They're going to make it easier to accommodate the public and this stuff. I know. And if they don't do it, someone else will.
Yeah. So I'm interested in where you see the future of this being. I've been telling our listeners and our readers and dirt wheels who get all uptight about this stuff that it's not taking over. It's just one more thing that has its really good at certain things, especially like that the circle track motocross. I would think it'd be good at short course, just a fantastic hybrid or power plant for that type of racing. A lot of people get upset. They keep on liking it to basically your daily driver, to the Prius or whatever. And it's not the same thing. We're talking about power sports here. We're talking about high performance. And where do you see that? Do you see it being the absolute future, or do you just see it's just another really cool segment of ATV racing and ATV, recreational riding, that some people would favor for the type of riding they do? Where do you see the future of electric in ATVs?
I think that it is not going to take over. It's not. I think it's completely different than a Tesla or
right.
what people think.
Yeah,
this
so
is.
quit bringing politics into it. It has nothing to do with that.
No, it is an option. It's another option for somebody that might want. Think about how cool it is if you could ride your motorcycle or four-wheeler closer to the cities, or
exactly,
without the noise. And do I love the noise of a 4-stroke or a 2-stroke? Absolutely. That's what it's all about. But this is also cool. And it doesn't not make any noise. It makes noise. You can hear it rev up, wind up and stuff. It's different. I don't think it's never going to be, you're never going to get rid of gas or anything like that. I think that it's an option, and I think that it's in a developmental phase. I think it's going to get better. I think it's here to stay, but it's not, you're not going to shove this stuff down society's throat as a motorsports, option. Hey, this is the only thing you can run. No, it's not going to be like that. This is just, and it's cool for people who want to develop something, or people who want something new, or even a different class. I think it's just another option for the enthusiast to choose. It creates controversy. I mean, so you got some big tough guy or whatever, some blowhard on a gas bike, and then he gets smoked by some metrosexual or whatever on an electric bike. I mean, this is just funny. It's just
it's good for the sport.
Exactly. It's just because people need controversy. People need to shoot off their mouth and then get kicked in the nuts. I mean, it's just good for humanity.
Yeah, I kind of laugh at the comments because people just get so upset about it, and we've been putting a lot of vintage and YFZs and sport quads on the cover. We've been I've been pushing to get it back into the pages of Dirt Wheels, even though side by sides up until recently, they're declining a little bit now, but they were the popular thing. But that was Dirt Wheels DNA. But we would do all of that. You'd have 10 gas builds, and then we'd throw one little thing up about an electric powered ATV, and suddenly Dirt Wheels is going woke and blah, 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 and yeah, I know you get the same thing every time you put up something on the start. And I just wanted to address that. We're not woke. And, it's about performance. It's about power. It's about the racing. It's just something different. It's cool. And I think that electric power kind of probably gets the attention of a lot of the the younger people that are out there, that are into that kind of thing, bringing any attention to ATV racing or ATVs, sport ATVs particularly right now, any way we can do that, whether it's electric or Chinese or whatever. I mean, we're going after it. We're just trying to keep this thing alive and capture the attention of those major manufacturers to get back into it also, because we believe the market is there.
And you would think the electric segment would be appealing to any rider as an alternative, power plant who has gotten their backyard track shut down. They've ridden at their buddy's house or they rode at their house and the neighbors started complaining about the noise. And once that starts, you can't stop it. With electric, it's not an issue. I mean, it makes a noise, but it's not like a 4-stroke reverberating between a couple of houses. The opportunity to ride and for all the people who would be like, oh, I don't want it, it's not a combustion engine. It's like, well, okay, you can sit there on your combustion engine dirt bike and you can watch me and the boys have fun ripping up the backyard on our electric dirt bikes or our electric quads. It's going to be more accessible. You don't have to go anywhere to ride. If you've got a 100 by 300 foot backyard, you could build an arena cross track and go at it all day long. Nobody will complain. Accessibility matters.
Yeah, we're in the city limits, Walsh Racecraft is, and we're putting a 3-acre track in the back right now just for our little videos and stuff. But, there was a track in town my friend owned, Amp Extreme, a Billy Go Lightly, and they shut it down because of noise. That's why they shut it down, because of noise. Now, if you would have had an option, it would still be here. And so what that does is you got football, you got baseball, you got you got tennis, you got all these sports, but you don't got moto. Moto is not a sport that you have in Live Oak. Well, you got Luke Renslin, which is cool, which he's a ex-Supercross guy. But what I'm trying to say is these kids do not have an option of moto or even trail ride. No, they really. I mean, I guess you do have trail ride, but the limitations are there. A lot of them because of noise, and if you could get rid of that, you would still have those tracks.
Yeah, same thing here in Arizona. We've lost a lot of our motocross tracks. A lot of it has to do with most of it has to do with the sound. So yeah, same thing in California. Same thing in every state. Same, major ride areas are closing up because of the noise. So. Makes sense.
I had a couple questions for you before we run out of time here, and I think one of them was, of all the engines that are out there now, because you and I have discussed on Lenny Duncan's podcast, we were kind of like, oh, you think like me? Okay, well, we're an anomaly. The 450s are, we both think, kind of maybe just a displacement that was relegated to us because they spend so much time developing engines for dirt bikes. And they were like, oh, these quad guys, they have no talent. They don't need any more displacement than the dirt bike guys, even though their ATVs weigh 40% more and put twice the rubber on the ground. Of everything that's out there now, because Jeff and I are starting to see a little bit of a resurgence, a little bit. We're actually hearing an echo back from the other side now when we speak to them of maybe a little interest in, we should reevaluate the ATV segment of all
Sport
the
ATV.
Sport ATV segment, because they see it like the higher the price goes on side by sides, the smaller the market gets. And there's such a demographic in that market where their whole reason for participating is, hey, look, I have the most expensive thing in the pits. And as the price goes up, less people can fight for that top spot. Sport quads are still fun. Young guys can't afford $50,000 side by side. So of all the engines on the market now, because you build a ton of hybrids, and we'll stick to gas for the whiners out there who don't want to hear any more about electric, of the combustion engines that all these manufacturers have. As a guy who builds hybrids, what engine or engines are on the market currently that if an OEM were to consider building a sport ATV, who do you think has the engine you would most like to see end up in a production ATV with a beefed up transmission and a counterbalancer if need be?
I mean, I am a big supporter, if you will, of the KTM umbrella. The geometry of the motor isn't cool for a quad. As far as when I said the geometry, I mean the intake placement versus, well, really, I mean the swing arm pivot and the countershaft sprocket, because they're dirt bike motors. The countershaft sprocket is too low. It needs to come up. But I like a lot of the technology that's used over there. They have some bigger displacement stuff too, like some of their on off-road stuff, the Big Duke, this and that. And I don't think that four-wheeler should be capped at 450. But it's what society, the government, whatever you want to say, that the AMA, it's where we're the big manufacturers, the big money. 450 is the number. Now, if you knew the type of money that these race teams had in their 450s to make 55, 60 horse, more, it's a lot. And every, the motor might look stock from the outside, but it's far from stock. I mean, I think racing would be a lot more, and just even trail riding and all that, if you put a bigger displacement motor in this thing. I don't think 2 cylinders is the way to go, because you have more problems, you have more valve train, more everything.
More weight.
I think a single cylinder, 550, 500 maybe, something like that would be a great option. I like I said, I do think that I love the finger following valve train, stuff like this. I think there's a lot of technology out there. I'm a huge Honda guy. I love the simplicity of the Honda and the engineering of the Honda. I mean, there's a lot of options out there. But I do think single cylinder is the way to go.
And then the other problem that you hear, that we see, is some of these ATV manufacturers, like Suzuki was a great example. They worked with the aftermarket to develop that LTR 450 chassis. And the companies we talk to, and it's not just Japanese, like we are kind of low level speaking with a Japanese company right now, just about here's where the market's at. But we're also kind of knocking on these Chinese companies' doors and going, hey, you want some market? You want to do something that the Japanese seem like they're afraid to do? And we feel like for R&D and things like this, if they build a team of people in-house, if they hire a whole pool of people to try to develop a new chassis, it's like, just go to the aftermarket. Go to one of these aftermarket companies that still build chassis, that know how to build something that handles, like a Mike Walsh. So the question is if there was a company, be it Japanese, be it Chinese, be it Austrian, that was like, hey, Mike, here's a chunk of money. Would you help us develop a good handling platform for an engine? Is that something you would ever entertain, or would you just want to stick to doing what you're doing?
I'd love to do that. I mean, that's a dream of mine. I mean, I don't have many dreams left, but I mean, I would love to do something like that. That'd be an honor to work with somebody just on consulting or development, suspension, chassis, CGs, weight distributions, all that. I would be honored to, help a company get into the game and get into the game correctly, into a niche to fill a void that we don't have. I'd be really excited to do that, and I would definitely make a lot of time for that.
Well, there it is. So companies, if you want to cut a corner and end up with the best result, there's your guy. There's your guy.
Absolutely.
Call Mike.
I agree 100%.
You'll have a winner. We'll vouch for it.
Yeah, I think that, and to bring this up, I mean, there's been rumors, I don't know how true this is, but the DRZ that we built for Doug and Wayne, and it was always said that bike went to Suzuki. Now, to develop the LTR 450. Now, did it not? I don't know. I heard from really good sources that it did, but like I said, I don't have proof of this. But I did want to touch base on something that you said earlier. You said something about Chinese, and I was talking to I'm a aviation person, and I think aviation is very important. I learn a lot from aviation as far as to bring it over to ATV stuff. But just the way they run their programs. But I was talking to my airplane mechanic, and we were talking, and he said, well, you might want to get some cylinders, for this motor. Eventually we'll have to, change out some stuff, cam cylinders, stuff like this. And, it's a Lycoming. And, we were talking, and he said, well, all this stuff comes from China anyways. I'm like, what? Like, so I didn't realize this, but he says the whole general aviation market is owned by the Chinese. So you're talking Lycoming, Continental, Mooney, Cessna. It's all, and I don't, this is just Live Oak. It's a small hillbilly town. I don't know. I didn't do my homework, but I do know they do own Mooney, but I didn't know they own Lycoming. And so when you were saying about getting maybe a Chinese company involved or something or this or that, I mean, I think the Chinese are hungry, man. They are putting out some good stuff. Now you do have, you guys have been talking about a couple of Chinese ATV or motorsports companies out there, and I know they're coming out with a few things. I don't have any problems working with anybody that does really good work. And hey, if Harley Davidson doesn't want to make a four-wheeler, I guess we're gonna have to go with Chemco. But
there's a few other options out there. But no, that's good. Good stuff. Joe, you got anything else?
Well, I think we've allotted for Mike's time in this segment of the program. And Mike, if you have the time, we are going to get into the Rev Limiter next. There was some people talking shit about your build, and there's some electric haters, and Jeff has some controversial comments that we're going to respond to. And if you want to stick around and troll some trolls with us real quick, we'd like to have you. And if not, we'll see you guys on the other side for the Rev Limiter. It's time to shred some people.
Yeah, no, I stick around. I stick around. All right,
let's do it.
All right. Well, people haven't learned from the last two episodes. You're still talking smack in the comments, and we're still here to punish you for your sins. If you hear this sound, you're on the Rev Limiter for episode 3. And since a lot of you guys were talking trash about Mike Walsh's Stark hybrid build, we've brought him on the show to hit you with a steel chair.
Yeah, I think some people are doing it on purpose just to get the attention on podcasts now, because I'm seeing more and more of it. And keep them coming. It gives us some great content to talk about. And we'll get started right here. Yeah, this is aimed at the video we put up of the Stark Varg in that circle track race. Yeah, Billy Nadorovich wrote in, clowns will never understand. It's all about the sound, the smell, and the vibration of the engine. And then John Merritt popped in. He said, no, it's about winning. Keep trail riding, bud. And then Bill Casey of TPC Trikes popped in. He said, I've been riding over 50 years. I never once cared about the sound or smell. Sounds like a poser argument. So what do you say, Mike, to Billy, who says clowns never understand? It's all about sound, smell, and vibration. I'm just picturing a guy that likes to fire his Banshee up in the garage and kick back in a camp chair and listen to it.
Yeah, he's probably got a loaded shotgun underneath the moonlight. You got different levels. I hate to be like this, but there's just different levels of mentalities out there. And hey, man, I respect them all. You just got to kind of know what you want and where you're going with your vision. I mean, for somebody like him, Stark's probably definitely not an option. So don't get one, get the Harley and put drag pipes on it and hold her on the box, but it's a little bit more sophisticated than I think what he's used to probably. So I'd say that we build stuff that he would probably like, and we also build the Stark. I mean, it's I like the comments that they had, the other two gentlemen, they know that when you twist the throttle on that Stark, and then everything changes, because I was skeptical too, but it's a rush.
I think we
I
all
mean,
were.
it pulls hard.
Yeah, I think we all were kind of converted over. I didn't think anything of EVs there for a while, but I've been watching and educating myself on it. And no, there's definitely a place for it. And I'm actually intrigued by it. I'm actually considering getting a Stark-powered bike myself. The thought of going out and riding is as much as I do anymore, single track. I'd probably get the one that's the more enduro related. But then bringing it home and just hosing it off and plugging it in, call me lazy, but I'm old, and it's hot here in Phoenix. So that just, it's kind of a cool feature to it. I'll bring a little more humor into it. Jose, or did you want to say something, Mike?
I just wanted to
Mike,
touch
what do you
base that you said that you were thinking about getting the enduro model. They say the enduro model puts out more RPMs, and it's actually faster than the MX model.
Wow.
Same horsepower, but more RPMs with the motor.
It's about 20 pounds heavier, I believe, too, right?
Yeah, but that motor is even a faster option. So,
and it's a little bit bigger battery, I believe.
I think it holds charge better as well. So I actually had two of them in the shop the other day. My buddy bought two, and we put lower end links on them. One of them for his wife, but they absolutely love them. Super fast. But anyways, that was just a side note.
There you go. Going over, this is a friend of mine on Facebook too. I thought this was funny. Jose Ochoa, I think that's how you say his last name. He said, "Sorry, but I have balls, and I like the way gas engines tickle them." He's got a point. There's some supportive comments. Blake Goodwin popped in. He said, "I love the crazy power delivery of a two-stroke, one of the best feelings on earth, but then I experienced the power delivery of an electric motor. No comparison. I like to actually go as fast as possible. I don't need to be able to hear it. Come on, everyone. It wasn't even close in this video." And yeah, it's got a good point. That's what we're trying to say here too. They all have their place. Nobody's trying to push anything on you. We're not going woke. It's just something new and interesting.
Well, and at the same time, I don't know if you guys know anything about drag racing, but Big Daddy Don Gartlitz, he's an innovator of Top Fuel and all this stuff. And he's 90-something years old. I had the opportunity to meet him like 2 years ago. And he actually wanted to be the first person to go 200 in an electric dragster. So here's a man that you can't argue has the most balls on planet Earth, driving a Top Fueler, 12,000 horsepower, this and that, and innovating it. Got his foot cut off when he was a kid, front engine Top Fuel dragster. But anyways, so he wanted to go 200 in an electric dragster. Why? I don't know. He just want to keep innovating, I guess. But that's what I'm trying to say. Like it's an option. I'm sure Big Daddy loves the nitro, loves the crackle and all that, but it was just something that he wanted to do. And kind of like with us too, we wanted to feel the rush of the electric ATV. And in a lot of ways, it's better than the gas bike, and then again, not in every single way. So don't get nervous. I mean,
yeah,
a gas still has a place.
Yeah, Ryan Hills popped in and he kind of summed it up really good. He said, "This is starting to feel like some dudes on horses staring at the first motor vehicle. Keep your horse or buy the motor vehicle. Do whatever suits you. If the goal is to go fast, it undeniably does that well."
Well said.
Yeah, perfect.
Moving on, in Rev Limiter, I put up an article the other day about could a sport quad come back beyond the horizon. It's based on a lot of stuff that Joe and I had been hearing from certain manufacturers. I don't want to get too deep into that and put anybody on the spot, but we are seeing a wind of change coming back to interest in that, rather than the old argument we got a year ago that there was no market for it, which we never believed. Richard Ebb popped in. He said, "We just need a bare bones 252 stroke 6-speed with great suspension, some small displaced 2 or 4-stroke kids quads." And I agree with him at that point. But then he said, in that 250 2-stroke with the 6-speed transmission better not cost more than $5,000.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
We see a lot of that. People don't realize that the cost of development and the cost of what the government takes, to to get these things approved, to go through all the red tape and garbage just to get them on the dealership floors. There's a lot of money involved in that, and somebody has to pay for that.
You can barely buy a half-baked mountain bike at this point that's a full analog bike for $5,000. That's like a mid-priced mountain bike now. So keep dreaming, bud.
You got anything to say on that, Mike?
Well, yeah.
Don't start racing, that's for sure, because it goes way up from that level.
Yeah, it's. I understand where he's coming from, and I'm not here to bust the stones, but it's not reality anymore. The cost of living just went so far up that these prices, you just can't you can't be there anymore. And even a YFZR, I think they're 10 plus now.
10.5, 10.599.
On time you get out of there, never know what it's going to cost you, and once they sell you the helmet and the chest protector or whatever, and the boots.
Yeah.
The reality is the reality. What's the nice thing about the OEMs is they are financeable. So you might be able to put $5,000 down.
And I can't speak for him. I don't want to troll where he hasn't stepped, but I'll be a little bit presumptive. The only way you would ever see anything in a 252 stroke near that price would be if it was coming from a Chinese manufacturer like KO or Kobe, and then you'll be upset that it's not red and doesn't say 4 tracks on the seat. So hate to be the dream killer.
Yeah, exactly. Carl Pilcher, he popped in and said, serious question though, but with the current economic climate globally, can people afford a new sport quad? Well, they're still buying $35,000, $40,000, $50,000 side by sides. I just talked to Kawasaki yesterday. They have the new Terex 5 H2 Deluxe in dealerships now. They hit dealerships I think 2 days ago, and they've already sold 500 of those machines across the United States. So yeah, they're selling. They're doing well. It's doing what they expected it to. And which brings me to the next one, which was Evan Snorgrass, who said it won't happen. The entire industry is in side-by-sides right now. The world isn't ready for a $20,000 production quad. Who said anything about a $20,000 production quad?
Tell that to Can-Am. They just literally released a Outlander 1000 XTP with a Smart-Shox option that brings it to $20,000. We'll see how many they sell.
Yeah. But we're talking about sport quads too, and the number that we're getting for a stock Japanese production sport quad, they're saying it's going to probably be around 13, and I don't think that's out of the question. And,
no, that's good. That's really good because it gives you a great platform to start with.
Yeah, and that's what most of us want. We just want a good chassis, a good engine to build upon. If you want to take it to the race level, that's what we've always done.
Exactly.
Even back in the 250R days, we were talking about the 90s and stuff. We were putting $15,000 plus into those machines after you bought it and bought suspension for it and everything else. And of course, everything is doubled today or more. But it's just, those of us that raced and built, really good, solid, competitive machines, it's not that much money, really. So when you figure in inflation, this guy, go off of Evan's comment. He said, no, we're not ready for a $20,000 production quad. Same reason Raptor and the bigger Scramblers aren't big sellers. Actually, the Raptor is a big seller. It's the best.
And it's not 20. And it's like 10.
Yeah, it's not
like 20.
They start around 10,000. I think I saw one in the dealership the other day for under 10.
Anybody else that needs roasted?
There was another video we put up. Well, I'll go ahead and go into it. I went out to Vegas to Reno to actually it's a CRF 450R hybrid that Mike Davis and the guys were running. I went out there to take a look at it. This thing ran great, and they were doing some testing. I shot some video of it. This thing has a crazy suspension setup for it that's designed specifically for desert, where the rear shock almost lays flat. So all the motion, the action, moves you forward and backward, and it actually keeps the wheels on the ground for ultimate traction. It's something the desert racer wants. And so we put that video up, and Kevin Seagraves. Oh, actually, yeah, he popped in and he said, should have been a Banshee, not a 4-stroke. 2 sounds so much better. And I'm just like, well, why don't you get out there and race Vegas to Reno and show them how it's done then? I mean, these guys are out there actually racing and building and experimenting with crazy stuff out in the desert. And when I was out there with them, it was probably 114 degrees out there I got to ride it. It was a really sweet ride. Wish I could have spent more time on it. Banshee apparel had to pop in. And yeah, this one.
Oh God!
It said, we agree 4-strokes are for pussies, and they even know it. They wanted something fast. LOL. Went with a 4-stroke. Laughing emoji. Banshee apparel. They don't race. They don't get out there. And they're not doing the stuff that these guys are doing. And they wanted to build a machine that would hold together. I don't know how they finished or whatever, but at least they were out there doing it. So why are these guys criticizing it? And again, coming back to what's most important to them is the sound, not winning, not the speed, not the performance. Just a stupid comment from these guys at Banshee Apparel. And I don't know if you've ever actually been over to their page, but Joe, I know you have. Why don't you give us some of your insight to Banshee Apparel?
Well, I just say you should take it easy on those guys because I think they're employing a number of models at this point that are highly tattooed up, that if they weren't doing photo shoots for Banshee Apparel, they would probably either be doing drugs or making their money on OnlyFans. So,
yeah, nothing against tattoos.
let them make their money from Banshee Apparel. They're employing some otherwise maybe unemployable ladies. So, sorry, ladies.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys can talk when you get out there and race 500 miles in the heat. It was just a moronic comment. I mean, again, coming back to the sound, is like, do you guys ride at all? Or you just sit in the garage and listen? So anyway, that's all I got for Rev Limiter. Mike, man, thanks for taking time out of your day today. I learned a lot. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, I love this stuff. I love keeping the sport quads alive and just, the racing side of it and the history side of it. And the future. So, I mean, that's all me and my family does, really. And we're honored to be a part of your show. I've been hearing things on my Instagram and TikTok and stuff about the show, and I'm glad I got to make an appearance.
Yeah, Mike, thank you so much for taking time to join us today. You're a leader in the industry and your time's valuable. So thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, we can't wait, guys. Can't wait to have you back.
Well, it's time to bring episode 3 to a close. Jeff, I feel somehow like this was our best episode yet.
That was a great conversation with Mike Walsh. I really learned a lot in that. Really appreciate his time coming on the show. And man, the whole time I was talking to him, I was thinking, if I could have a Walsh race build or I could go buy a stock Pro R, I would buy that Walsh race build every time and have a big fat grin on my face about it. No regrets at all.
What do you guys got coming up in Dirt Wheels?
Man, we are about to, I think here in a week or two, our October issue is going to hit newsstands. That is our annual sand issue. We got some cool ATV builds in that, including a full-on Raptor build from Duncan Racing. And we also have a TRX 450R build that's, you got to see. It's really cool from CM Motorsports. Chris Martinez built this machine. We tested it out down in Southern California near the Mexico border. Fantastic build. Looking forward to that issue. If you guys are out at the Sand Sports Super Show, drop by our booth. We'll be out there. We should have some magazines to hand out. Come by and say hi. Tell us what you want to see in the next issues of Dirt Wheels.
Yeah, and don't be cheap and just go snag a free magazine. Unless you're getting it so you can get that card to subscribe. Do they still have those cards in there? I guess I should know this. I have the magazine. You should know.
We should. No, everything's online now, it seems like, but yeah, maybe I think they do. I don't know.
Well, that was an L, but hey, for the people who haven't subscribed like me, what's the easiest way to go pick up a subscription so they don't miss that Duncan?
It's really to go to dirtwheelsmag.com. You can get it right online. You can order online. We also have a digital subscription that's cheaper if you'd rather read your magazine on your computer screen. But we are the only ATV magazine in the United States. It's still in print, 12 issues a year. Check it out. We are doing our best to get more ATVs and three-wheelers in the pages.
You guys have done a lot with ATV content lately. I don't think there's much to complain about. I mean, the side-by-side guys are there. You got to serve them too. and that's a big audience. But hey, we're sport quad guys, and that's what we're pushing, and that's why we're here. So
That's right.
we've got
What do you got going on?
We have all the players in place. All the quads are here. Later this month, we'll be filming a 700 class 4x4 shootout between the Honda Rubicon 700, Grizzly 700, King Quad 750, and the Outlander 700 XT. So that should be an exciting one. And we've already done a review on the Grizzly 700 from 4 months ago. It's done over 60K so far. And there will be individual tests on each of the other 3 machines, followed by the shootout. So atvondemand.com. More importantly, go subscribe to ATV On Demand on YouTube if you haven't already. And that's what's coming up. We're excited about it. Also, a couple of things to touch on. I know all of us in the industry, when we rode the reskinned Brute Force 750 last year, incredible engine, all the engine that most riders would ever need. And it's certainly faster accelerating, being a V-twin. That bike, I think we agreed, came up a little short on its outdated handling and suspension. So we got a little project coming up for Brute Force owners to help modernize the handling of that machine a little bit. I think that will be a good watch for anybody with a Brute Force from 2004 to 2026. So
yeah, we've always said that engine is, I know a lot of people want an 850 or a 1000 to go on the Kawasaki, but that 750 is a fantastic power plant. And we just want to see some chassis changes. So it looks like you're tackling that.
We're going to get it as good as we can within reason with the platform we have to work with. So keep an eye out for that. That should be a good one. We're looking forward to it. And that's a lot of good stuff for us coming up. Video is a pain to make.
Yep, good stuff. October is going to be exciting too, but we'll get to that in the next episode.
Yeah, and you'll be riding some Can-Am stuff. We're going to be ordering some 2026 Can-Am stuff and other machines from other people. So a lot of exciting things happening in the world of ATVs right now. We're really happy and proud to bring it to you guys, and we are flattered that you spend your time listening to us and watching us. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in another month.
See you next episode.